All right, just stopping in for a quick second to do a pop culture hot take or an opinion on this reality show. Now, we always talk about how reality shows, essentially, they are, at one point, they were basically like a guilty pleasure, something you just watched. But as time has went on, they've been both dramatic and also entertaining. And sometimes you just have to let go and you have to enjoy. Now, House of Stassi on Hulu, Disney, Freeform, I really think this show is actually a pretty big hit. I will say this too. I personally am not a binge watcher. I don't like to watch shows over and over and over again. Maybe scripted, but definitely not reality. But because things have changed in such a way, Hulu launched the entire season. And me, a reality TV expert, yes, I've watched all the Bravo shows, I've watched all the Vanderpump Rules. I never thought going into it that I would watch Hulu's show, House of Stassi, in basically one sitting. I mean, it was kind of split out between 2 days, and it is only 8 episodes, but it's actually done really well. And as a success story for reality TV and all that she has created and also went through, waiting 5 years to come back and for it to be such a hit, as said by me, House of Stassi on Hulu is a huge success, and it is a big accomplishment for the genre of reality TV, and for anyone who's, going for their dream or chasing some type of success. And Stassi Schroeder Clark, she definitely did it well. She's trying to be the next Kris Jenner, I think, which is a whole different part of the story, but nonetheless, I think she was a huge success, and I actually think the show is going to be the beginning of a lot of success for Hulu and the Hulu reality TV space. They've succeeded in a way already, but I think Hulu's House of Stassi might be the next big thing. Okay, so right off the bat, here's a couple things, and let's do this quickly. Usually I do my episodes randomlyronniejr.com or patreon.com/randomlyronniejr. Thank you for the support. Thank you. Appreciate it. And usually I do these episodes and it's on, and I'm talking and I'm breaking down every point. It is a reality show, so we don't have to go that deep, but we will kind of make a couple mentions of what made it so good. And number one, first and foremost, is Stassi had a direction. Some of the times when people create, whether it's like creating a podcast or let's say there's a reality personality, and a lot of the stuff just seems, or a comedian rather too, the stuff just seems very like thrown out there, no intention, and it just kind of worked. A lot of times that's great and it's good to have that whimsy for sure, but sometimes you could just tell personalities like Stassi, they have a clear direction, one would say like an agenda, but not in a bad way, an agenda to get stuff done. So right off the bat, I would say the best part of this show, of course, is like the big Stassi comeback, because she could have went to The Valley. The Valley was a show post Vanderpump Rules that went to Bravo, and I gotta say, in the 3 seasons, like The Valley wasn't really ever a show that made sense. As a viewer, I've seen it, but I don't love it. Whereas House of Stassi, I kind of love it. But having this big 5-year break in terms of Stassi coming back to reality TV is or could have been a big gamble. She could have had the moment where she left and didn't kind of go with where everyone else went, which was staying with Bravo. She did her own thing, developed and built and kind of got under the advisement of Lisa Vanderpump and did a couple of Vanderpump Villa seasons, and it became a seamless synergy for what she's doing with Hulu now. Even in the show itself, you have a lot of moments where she's like doing Hulu podcasting, not her own show that she does with Taylor, but the shows that like are watch on Hulu or Disney and then go and get a behind the scenes look with the cast. Stassi's like the essential host when it comes to a lot of those things. So I gotta say, like, it could have seemed very throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. I personally think Stassi is very intentional. Now, one of the things she makes mention of, I actually don't know where I stand with this because it was kind of silly. She kept kind of saying that she thinks she wants to essentially be like the next Kris Jenner, which is a very difficult sentence to say, but I feel like I understood what she was trying to accomplish. She was trying to accomplish that this show is a show where so much of her family is going to be featured, and much differently than Vanderpump Rules, where it's like all different friends and walks of life and everyone is sort of competitive. It is the house of Stassi, quite literally filmed in her, massive, beautiful home. And in that, it's all these people within her real life, in terms of family and very close friends, not like a show like Vanderpump Rules where, you could be competing to be the star of the show and you could be competing to the star of the show. Stassi's kind of recognizing, and that nod to Kris Jenner, where I get it, is that she's basically saying, well, Kris Jenner, under the house of Kris Jenner, it was like, well, Kim was the leading success story, which, there's thoughts on that. And I used to see Kim and Khloe on red carpets before and right at the early stages of when the reality show hit. It's really kind of incredible whether you like them or don't. I don't know that I do love some of their stuff, but it is incredible for the consistency. And anyways, going back to Stassi, what I feel like Stassi was doing is she's trying to kind of put it out there in the universe, specifically through Hulu, and the Kardashians are with Hulu, and basically stating that when you watch this show, get into these characters and they could have their own business and success stories as well. You think of Kim, again, the first person, the focal point of the show, but then it's Khloe's had a successful career, and Kylie, and she makes how much money with her, beauty products or whatever, and Kris herself. And I think Stassi's thinking okay, this will work for me, but if her, she has her younger sister named Georgia, I think, right? Georgia or Georgie? There's two Georgias on the show, Georgies. She has the younger sister. Now, the younger sister, artist. The younger sister, straight from a divorce, back in LA or in LA for the first time, visiting Stassi. While it looks like a little bit of a fish out of water, starving artist story, I believe Stassi is kind of alluding to the camera, let's kind of showcase this, telling her little sister, let's showcase this, let's be ugly with it even. But that's going to be a thing where fans could get behind the viewers of the show. They could get behind, you're here, and that sort of, I don't want to say rags to riches, but that rags to riches come up. And I think Stassi gets it in that way. It's much different than her being I need to be the star of the show, which of course she is. It's called House of Stassi, but she's really realizing for this to work, the younger sister, Georgie, should be, episode 1, season 1, looking and portraying herself in this way. But then in all these seasons later, this business and this grows and this succeeds and this, ascension. I believe Stassi really sees it in that way because she talks to the camera quite a bit. And she's like, I'm really trying to make this whole thing a Kris Jenner situation. Now, I'm not saying that her husband, Beau, is she trying to make him somebody and making him more of an influencer than what he enjoys really casting? I don't really know. But I think she gets an overall sense of if I win, great. If we all win, then there's going to be revenue for a very long time. And that's got to be a tricky thing, especially with the kid situation, because, putting so much into career, and Beau in the show, the husband, is mostly doing the Mr. Mom scenario, which cannot be easy across the board, not just for him, but for her. What is it like when you are the breadwinner and you got to go make money, but you have to do this in a very untraditional way? You love and you're happy that your husband, Beau in this case, is there for the kids and is able to be Mr. Mom, but is he sacrificing career goals and purpose? It's such a thing. And she really did throw it all out on the table. It was not the easiest viewing. And I think with Beau, because he isn't a reality TV person, much like Katie is or Stassi was, and even the sister Georgie, I always get the names wrong, they all have their own, brand or whatever. Beau, just being the husband, doesn't really have a brand, probably doesn't want a brand. He probably wants to do casting. So to see the dynamic of there was times in the season, and obviously watch it on your own, but there was times in the season where he couldn't even bring himself to kind of state the stuff that was bugging him because he didn't want to slow down the train that was the success of Stassi, Schroeder, Clark, and all that it's bringing to the table. One of the characters that I think is beyond intriguing, and you'll know this from me, I say this all the time, I have such a warm spot in my heart for radio talent because, early 2000s, I was out there doing the, internships and this radio job, that radio job, working my butt off, 9 days a week of work. I always say there's only 7, but there was 9 days a week of work. We always did. And that grind is so difficult. And Taylor coming from radio, and then at some point going through SiriusXM, losing a radio opportunity, linking with Stassi, and then building up this career. But also while she's married to she's married to this woman who's having a child, and there's those interesting dynamics between Taylor as the wife becoming a mother and maybe not really wanting to slow down the career ascension. It's almost really right down the middle how Beau to Stassi is the same as Taylor to, I forget Taylor's wife's name, where, you know, the Taylor and Stassi are career. And sometimes both of them have to work. It doesn't come easy to work on slowing down and realizing money and career and success and these moments that happen just once are something you don't want to let go, but also knowing that you have to let go because your family and your loved ones, like, they matter even more importantly, because without that, when that gets broken down, then none of the stuff is going to work on the successful side either. And I think Taylor and Stassi, they really bond in that space. And in terms of other characters, as I said, this show is casted really well. It is all in the House of Stassi family. Beau, one of his longtime friends, they're kind of going through some stuff, and they're just at different stages in their life. I believe his name is Rob, and Rob, obviously a little bit of the ladies' man, whereas Beau has turned into Mr. Mom, and these two dynamics of you're going in this direction as a friend and you're going in this direction as a friend. And this is, again, House of Stassi bringing in like ways for all of the people that are important to her, these important people to her, to be making money. So the show will get a second season. It's so inevitable. And overall, it answered all the little ongoing things that were necessary. Anything that was an extension of Vanderpump Rules wasn't put in there so dramatically or overdone. Anything that needed to be addressed. Obviously, Stassi does talk about a moment where she made some errors in her, Vanderpump Rules career and life, and that led to her being essentially fired. And she kind of found ways to bring that back in and be remorseful. Obviously, a learning moment. And so, like I said, this show does well at like the goofy, the success, the drama, but then also like these humbling moments. She did, I think there was at least 2 times where some of that stuff came through. And obviously not easy to work through and talk about. So they made sure stuff like that was in the show. It was very vast in how they put the show together. Like I said, it wasn't just Stassi being Stassi. It was like, let's see what she is 5 years from now. House of Stassi, to me, was such a success. I thought it was a really good TV show, and it'll be interesting to see where she goes. She connects with people like Morgan Stewart. I'm not like a huge fan of Morgan Stewart, but like other than that, I really don't have anything to pick on. I thought it was done pretty well. Even some of the comments she made that were like BS, I'm like, that's just Stassi. And you have to allow people to be entertaining if you want the show to be good. If people just give and pander to the camera, then it's not really going to be a great show. And I think Stassi kind of gets that. There was some comments about Jax Taylor. There was comments about little bits of everything. It'll be very interested to see the show going further and where it can go. You have a season 1 budget, and what does that look like season 2? But so far, so good. I would watch more of House of Stassi. I don't know. What are you rating it on Hulu reality TV?